Can you hear me now? I hope. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Darn it. This just sucks, man. Everything was going well. Darn it. Oh, you can hear me now. Thank effing God. You know what's really pissing me off is this effing goddamn, I have to figure this out, connection with StreamYard and the camcorder and whatnot, because what's really pissing me off is this camcorder is fantastic. And for some reason, the connections with StreamYard window and the camcorder, they don't seem to like each other microphone-wise. Which really bites, because I was able to, I did a practice thing. Of course, I didn't check the audio. Why would I? I was doing beautiful little zoom shots of the map. I didn't have all this herky-jerky bit. Lucky for me, this week, there's not a heck of a lot going on the map. Oh, just drives me up the tree, though. Anyways, if anything, if I had any jitters of starting the live stream, that went away. I can tell you that much, because it really... Oh. Just drives me, just really pisses me off. Anyways, enough. It's working. That's better than nothing. I should stop at that. So, yeah, I had to change the title to The History Heroes, Who or What Am I in World War I. So I think I popped in the link as well up there for Flora Sandez. I got to read up a little bit more about her. Man, she's had some, she had one hell of a life. Holy smokes. So anyways, I think I posted in the first question there for this week's Who or What Am I in World War I. And if you guys start thinking that, geez, these questions are ridiculously hard every week, let me know, and I'll try to, shave it down a bit. But I'll pop in, I'll give you the first one for 6 points. Local people refuse to abolish the tradition. They say it's part of ye, it's part of us. So that's your first question for 6 points, and then I'll change it. I'll change it at another time. So I'll go quickly with, or relatively quickly, about the week that was. But I also want to talk about, there was a couple of really interesting things that I found of, yes, Meandering Mike, as well as I'll just have to see what's going on. If it's maybe somehow, I don't know. It's it's unfortunate. And it was the only main concern I had today with the camera was whether or not the battery was going to go out. I did a test last night of in StreamYard actually having the battery die and then having the camera disconnect, pop in a new battery, and it still was able to read the camera. Maybe I should have recorded. That's what I'll do next time. I'll record some stuff and then play it back and see if I can see it, hear it properly. Yeah, so I did notice a couple of interesting things that occurred in 1914 that will have, some implications for World War I. And I'll talk about those quickly, and then we'll go to the map, then watch some Calandale. Then I'll show you what's it called? The Imperial War Museum website, and they have a database for British and Commonwealth soldiers that fought in World War I. And jaw-dropping. I just typed in my surname, and I know that that's not, I shouldn't be doing that because I think my family, had their name mangled a zillion times, like Charles Latour's and so on and so forth. But the amount of detail that you can get is just ridiculous. I didn't hear the full trivia. Oh, sure thing. I'll pop it in again. Mike, hold on. Meandering Mike. Sorry, I just did that again. I didn't put it in here, but I'll type it in right now. And as I type it in, I'll say it out again. So, what was I saying? You'll have to remind me what I was talking about as well sometimes, guys. Sorry, I gotta flip it over. I'm on the wrong side here. Local people refuse to abolish the tradition. They say it's part of us. Oh, sorry, it's part of ye. It's part of us. And that's for 6 points. And of course, you just get 1 point just for even submitting a guess kind of thing or whatever. So yeah, okay, we'll go to the. I'll just do the. And I still have to pop in my sources and credits and all that stuff. Hopefully, I can do this start this week. And remember, I was mentioning that I had. I've got 12 days off in a row, so that'll be wonderful. I kind of was a bit, not saying upset or whatever, but I was a bit like, oh, darn it. I wish I had said that in the live stream I was going to do, we were going to look at the map for the Ottoman front instead of, or one of them instead of the map 6-4, I think it is, for the Italian front, just due to the fact that there is a lot of the scenarios have started in January for the Ottoman front. If you wanted to play a Weltkrieg scenario that started in January of one of the years in World War I. So that would have been interesting to do, as well as I don't know anything about these floodplain stuff and whatever, but we'll get to that eventually. So, but the reason why I wanted to start with the Italian map was because I'm going to be doing the Caporetto thing. That will happen after I do the Sunday with Spence and Gable. I'll shift over to Caporetto, and I think that'll be about it for me doing official playthrough for Der Weltkrieg. Like, yes, I'll even use the bloody counters, the real ones. But after that, I think what I'll do for official Der Weltkrieg stuff will just be on the live stream, where I'll go over, or we'll go over like the maps and so on and so forth. But anyways, I'll talk about the 1914 thing, which is also I wanted to start making a list of things I call things I found out during the week, but I just don't have enough time to find out more, and they just seem intriguing. And I've put them in a little text thing, and I'm just going to copy and paste them. We'll go maybe quickly to the Wikipedia page, and I can paste them so I can show them to you guys, and maybe some of you guys know more about this stuff, or it'll tickle your curiosity as well. But it's just a bunch of stuff that I was like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know most of the. There's even when I was looking at the Italian map to prepare for this live stream, part of me is like, well, why isn't there much of a naval component going on between Italy and, like, why isn't Italy doing something to get us zipping across towards Austria, Hungary that way? I don't know anything about the naval component of those sides and so on and so forth. Like I was saying, there's just so much to learn. It's just unbelievable. Okay, let's go to the 1914 thing first. I'll just talk about it quickly, and then I'll zip over to the map, and then we'll go to the Wikipedia thing, and then we'll go to Calandale. And oh my God, I'm taking up so much time. It's ridiculous. So how are you guys doing anyways? If you want to pop that in and let me know what the heck, eh? What did I find that was interesting for 1914? Oh yeah, on the 5th of February, 1914, Hubert Kitchener, the governor, remember this is all from Wikipedia. Hubert Kitchener, British Governor General of Egypt and the Sudan, met with Prince Abdullah I bin Al Hussein, and they wanted to discuss what kind of support the British were going to give them based on possible Ottoman movement around in that area. And that even though they didn't have supposedly anything concrete in place, there were still talks ongoing, and that eventually solidified to the point where I guess the Arabians, sided with the Entente. I just found that interesting. I was like, oh, all this stuff you find out in the background. Also, on the 6th of February, which I found interesting, in Sweden, they were mentioning that 32,000 farmers started a protest organized by they said the conservative opponents of the liberal government, and they gathered in the courtyard of the Stockholm Palace to demand higher defense spending that reflected growing political tension in Europe at the time. And supposedly there was a big kerfuffle because the Swedish king sided with them, and he was never ever supposed to mention his stuff. I guess it violated the Swedish constitution, and it ended up becoming something called the Courtyard Crisis or something. On the 7th of February, the Royal Navy destroyer Landrail was launched at the Yarrow shipyard in Glasgow, and it would participate in many of the naval battles, including the Battle of Jutland. And the 8th of February, the Armenian Reform Package was signed between the Ottoman Empire and the Imperial Russia, which envisioned the creation of 2 provinces in Turkish Armenia, which is now Western Armenia, and they would be under the supervision of 2 European inspector generals. The 10th, and then the 11th of February, the British tanker SS Wilfredo was launched that day, and not even 4 months later was sunk by a U-boat the day before the British government officially declared war on Germany. So there we go. And then we'll take a look over here and see. I'll try not to look at my notes and see if I can get some right. Like I said, I may get a ton of this wrong, but I'm trying. There was one thing a couple of things I did notice this week, getting ready for the live stream and learning about what the heck happened, a week ago in 1915. One thing I'm starting to clue into, and I was mentioning it with Meandering Mike earlier in the week in a side thing, the amount of coordination that was starting that I didn't realize that was really happening when I started to find out that, the amount of information each side seemed to have had. Like, for example, it almost seems like the French knew almost the amount of divisions that the Germans were planning on sending over to the Eastern Front. And that was part of the reason why the French started the first Champagne offensive just after the Germans had kind of winded down, I think, their offensive in the around Ypres and whatnot. And I guess it was the end of the race to the sea and whatnot. And I guess it was to try to force the Germans to not send those troops towards the Eastern Front. So that I just find that interesting that there's all these interconnectedness, as well as like last week when we were talking about the first mass gas attack the Germans used there in the Battle of Bolimov between Łódź and Warsaw. And I've got to learn how to pronounce Warsaw properly. If I'm pronouncing Łódź properly, it's like, well, shouldn't you be pronouncing Warsaw properly as well? But that was there supposedly when the Ninth Army was coming up that way, the German Ninth Army. They were trying to, that was also to help draw Russian forces away from East Prussia for the Germans, which we're just about to talk about. I think it started on the 7th of February, the Second Battle of the Masurian Lakes. But, which I'm really happy about, it doesn't end until essentially maybe some people say the 20-something or 24th or whatever. Other people are saying like the 18th. I'll take a look. But it's not going to end until next week, which is great, because if you guys don't know, yes, I'm pretty darn sure it is, Meandering Mike. I'm pretty darn sure it is. I'm going to give you, I'll give you another, I will give you another, I'll give you the, how about, I'll give you maybe, there's a lot of questions and I can always fiddle a bit. So how about, well, I'll give it a, we'll give it the 6-point part, point B question or something. It's just part of the whatever. Yeah, okay, we'll call it an extra hint or whatever. And then I'll type it in a bit. You sidetracked me, you son of a bee. About the Masurian Lakes thing. So yet again, all this other connection thing. The big thing I want to find out more about is all the passes in the Carpathians. I want to find out a bit more about this and yet again, supposedly this coordination. I mean, the Austrians didn't start their offensive. It was a crappy time to be doing it, but this is coordinating at the same time, obviously, with just a little later on with the Second Battle of the Masurian Lakes. So we'll take a quickie look. There's not much to show on the map, but I'll tell you what I thought I saw or whatever. And oh yeah, that's the beauty of it. If you don't know what's going to happen at the end of this battle, which is great because there's something interesting, really neat. And I was like, almost gave it up. I almost, even in my notes or whatever, I was like, no, you can't say that. If you say that, then, yeah, you're going to give up what happened. Like you're going to spoiler alert for next week. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Varsava. Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, and I'm just hearing your rolling R's in my head, but I wish I could do them, but I can't. Okay, I'll grab the herky-jerky webcam, and then I'll quickly show you what the Wikipedia's I wish I knew more about things, and then we'll go to Calandale. I think that's about it, right? And then we'll go to the which is just a wonderful database. I found some, just incredible. Like this one nurse, you'll see. Like, yeah, she lived to like 1970 something in Canada. And I'm like, holy moly, like pictures of her family, the whole 9 years, all through this database. I'm like, oh my goodness. Anyway, so hold on. I'll no longer be able to see what you guys see. So maybe we'll start over here. I'm glad I do have the African map here because there was some mention in my notes about the Arabian Peninsula, and I didn't know that. I guess it's along here, the Arabian Peninsula or something. I didn't know that bit, and I guess the Weltkrieg map is just this little tiny chunk up here. But I hope you guys can see what I'm seeing, or I don't. Like I said. Yeah, I wish I had because if I had the camcorder, I would be able to know exactly. So that's the part there of the Suez Canal. And what's been happening now is it's complete. From what I've been reading, the Ottomans it's full on retreat now there. And I think the British did try to pursue, did a few bombing runs, I think with some aircraft as well. But there are some wicked dust storms that came up, so I guess that saved the Ottomans from getting completely wiped out or whatever. But they still took quite a bit of prisoners. Like I said, I don't know. Like I'm trying to be. Like I said, if we had the camcorder, life would be a lot better. So that's the Carpathian areas there. And from what I've been reading, initially the Austrians did some, were making some really good headway and still are in spots. But they're also now, from what I've been reading and watching, they've encountered some pretty resilient and battle-hardy troops from the Russians, such as a lot of the infantry divisions from Siberia were brought over, and so on and so forth. And now we're at February in the Carpathians. Holy F, that must just be horrible. And here's that spot. That's the attack on Bolimov. Down there with the 9th Army that started pushing up, and in the middle there with that's Bilow's 8th Army. He was the first one to start the Second Battle of the Masurian Lakes, and I think within a week, so in Der Weltkrieg terms, that would be about 2 turns. I think he advanced, their army advanced about 120 kilometers. So that would be, 6 hexes in Der Weltkrieg terms. And then the 10th Army, the day later, on the 8th or whatever of February, started going this way and also made some massive headway. And that's all I'm going to tell you for now. And I hope you don't look it up. Unless you don't care about or whatever. And then over here, yet again, it's just this, from what I've been reading about the the Champagne offensive, and this is that one area. That's the Argonne, I guess, area, and there's another area. I don't know where it is. The Bagatelle region as well. There was a lot of, but yet again, from what I've been reading, there's fighting up and down the area. Some spots quiet, and other spots are getting, whatever. Okay, and then now I'll pop the camera back, and I'll pop it onto the Wikipedia thing and show you a few things that I would love to learn more about. I'm just going to show them quick. I'm not going to, because I want to go to Calandale and stuff, because I think it's about 20 minutes or so. Okay, so let me pop on the web page. And just make sure that we're there. I'll share it now. Hold on. Where's my keyboard? And I can start looking at the comments too. All right, so I'm going to share this tab instead. Okay. And now I want to see what you can see. You don't see nothing. All right, and now I full on this. So now you guys see that's what you guys see, which is great. And then I go to here. And then I can just copy and paste. Hold on. So the first one is the SS Crown Prince Wilhelm. I guess it got captured or something, and it ended up becoming a prize court. So this guy here, I'd like to find out more about. He originally was a German passenger liner. And I didn't realize that this seems to have happened quite often with a lot of ships. I didn't realize that. So that would be interesting to find out. Also, these guys, the Tottenham Royal Engineers, they seem to have been all over the place. I did find a picture of them. Let's see if I can share that quickly with you guys. Sorry. Screen, present. Window there, and hopefully hopefully you guys can see that. So those are, I think that's near Verdun, no, the Passchendaele, and that's the oh, hi Ken, great. Ken X, I got it, or Ken 10, sorry, I got to start doing that properly. Summer. Oh, goody! You guys are already talking. I wasn't even looking at the comments, so this is awesome. So that, I guess I think they're laying telegraph cable. So that's pretty neat. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Hold on, I'm going to click back to here. I'll stop sharing, and then I'm going to have to go back to this guy again. Where are we? Yep. So I'd like to find out more about those guys. Who else? Other stuff. The USS Winslow DD-53. It seemed to have gone. I just have to find out. I would like to find out more about this guy here. Seems to have had a lot of action. And then what else? This guy here, maybe you guys know about him. There seems to have been an interesting little story about him getting stuck and then commandeering a ship to get back to, I guess, to try to get back to Germany or something. I don't like I said, these are things I would like to know more about, but just don't have time really. And then the Sikorsky S-16, and just would like to find out more about. Oh, and on a side note, Legion War Games just released Ace of Aces, I think, or Ace of Valor. I have to check, but it's a solo World War I aircraft combat game. I have it on pre-order. I'll do my thing. So there's that thing I'd like to find out more about as well. I mean, like I said, there's so many things I just don't have a clue about. And I didn't even know that these things, yet again, for World War I had no idea the sophistication of aircraft were already. I understand that World War I, like flying boats. I didn't even know they had flying boats. I mean, obviously not like that, but I mean, flying boats already. I was like, holy smokes, that's impressive. And then, of course, this, I think, docked in Ireland at this point, but I don't know if it's going back to the United States and then comes back, and then that's the next time it gets nailed or what. But yeah, that's something I'd like to find out more about. Not that, the ship. Jeepers jumping. Anyways, let's go to, I'll switch on over to Calandale quickly, and then I'll turn off my thing. I'll see what you guys see first. I know less about World War I air than I do about. Okay, yeah. No, neither. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pop on over to the live stream, and everything should be okay. I'm just going to see what you guys see, and that'll be that. Share this tab instead. Just want to see what you guys see first. So you guys see everything. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to make it super big. I'm going to mute myself.
Crap. These German units I just found in my, looking at my list of reinforcements. I forgot to set up the Germans for this year. So this is what hasn't come in that should have. I'm just going to bump them all in now. I figure, with the Belgians out of the war, it's not unreasonable to say, well, maybe some more troops were bled off for the East Front or whatever. Just pretend whatever you want. Anyway, those are going to come in the first turn of March. They should have come in already in January and February. I was just looking and I'm like, how come I don't have any German reinforcements this month? I don't think I had any last month. I'm assuming I didn't put any down for January either. So that's, a best guess as to where I am. And I'll fill out the rest of the year. Every time I deal with the damn reinforcement booklet, I just am furious. I just want to quit the game. I'm serious. Again, all the same issues. Units without the right numbers on them, and just this feeling of, I don't know what I'm doing. Units being pulled out of the game for, 2 months and then come back in. Stuff that I haven't withdrawn that I find, I've got the 3rd Guard Infantry Division I forgot to withdraw. It's just, however realistic this is all trying to be, that thing is making it fail. Because there is no way that this alone, without some kind of computer aid or without, the Avalon Hill games that used to deal with this kind of crap, right, gave you this order of battle sheet where you would put all the units on and move them around and everything. You need something like that. If you're going to deal with something on this scale, you need something like that if you're going to handle this kind of crap. And there's no reason for it. I mean, I've said again and again, there's no reason for that kind of, we've got the this particular unit here. Well, they're not going to be deployed the same way, so you're not going to withdraw and move them in that same way. And the truth of the matter is there was probably a significant amount of flexibility as to which units were broken up and which were not. I don't know. I don't feel like you're gaining anywhere near what the cost is for it. And I've said that again and again. And normally when I'm dealing with that kind of situation, and, most of the games are step loss type games, right? That handle this. They aren't games that are almost entirely strength point games. Mine is, because every single goddamn strength point is almost accounted for in this. I lost a strength point. Not I lost a step, right? Okay, that's great. But once you make that decision, why make it a fucking hell on the players by making them jiggling these units all over the place? It's no longer that important. It really isn't. Now, I guess maybe for some people it's real important that, that's the 16th Infantry Division. My grandfather served in that. Okay, maybe. But what are you going to do? It's not like the unit's designations really make a damn bit of difference. They really don't. Anyway, it feels like a tremendous headache to me. There's a reason that the games which did worry significantly about units didn't try to keep track of every single strength point. And there's a reason that games that keep track of strength points don't bother keeping track of every single unit. Something like Empires and Arms. Strength points are just this, accepted factor. You don't have to have every unit designation. I don't know. It's not like, units weren't broken down and shifted around. It's not like the game doesn't represent that with these damn things where they have these, you got to strip strength points off some other units to move them. It just is all this complexity that is just really entitled. That's the wrong word. It's just really there in order to frustrate the hell out of people like me, I'm convinced, and make us say, damn, that sucks. I don't know. I wouldn't mind this if this was campaign for North Africa. With the kind of reputation that has, you expect it to be a hellish, miserable time. Something that was made in the modern day, I just don't expect this kind of headache to go with it. Anyway, I'm done for the night. I don't know. I was really enjoying myself. The German orders, because they're always yanking their troops all over the place, are much, much worse than the Allied ones. And although the Allied ones aren't too good either, because they're pulling people out and putting the same unit back in place, same unit designation, but with a different strength to indicate these upgrades or whatever. Just give me a baseline of how many strength points I can have on the board, a reserve pool, and these replacements coming in, and then these major fluctuations where troops had to get pulled off. Well, that can reduce the amount of strength points you're allowed in the pool overall. It would all work very, very easily and be so much less of a headache. Oh, well. All right, so actually deploying, the Germans bumped themselves over 200 again. Hey, another auto loss, right? Took care of it immediately, set up a big attack along this line into this hex. But, well, the French didn't have a better supply situation, except for one thing: the weather's changed. And where they would not have been supplied last turn, they used up all the supply in this region and didn't boot it around, figuring it didn't really matter. Now they can draw from anywhere on the board, essentially. They have to go from the local areas first. And they were actually able to do tremendous damage back to the Germans. Just die roll thing. Germans rolled a 1, French rolled a 6. And so the Germans only did 5 points with the -2 for the woods up there. And the French did 13 to the Germans. Not a good play for the Germans, but they had to do something, and there really weren't many other places. They could have launched another attack down here with the -3/+3 variant. It wasn't very pleasant. Do the French continue? That's the question. They're going to have 40 more supply points. They can try to punch a hole somewhere here or up here. It's going to be tough because those reserves that I should have had earlier for the Germans, well, they probably would have stopped this whole thing from happening. A 1 hex advance would have been likely because I would have had the extra troops to throw in. Now you can see there's quite a bit there, and that's without weakening other parts of the board. So, yeah. Okay, well, the French burned through nearly their entire supply amount making a single attack. Remember, that's like 40 points. Well, I don't remember what it was, but it was above 30. they punched a hole here where there was a fortress. Now they had a lot of artillery, and artillery is really expensive. That's what eats up the supply, but it boosts your number on 3 hexes. It gets the French above 100, which meant they were able to destroy everything in that hex. Therefore, they weren't able to because some of it had to retreat. And that reduced the total damage to like 9. They only took 3 themselves, which I forgot to mark down. In part because of the retreat, the fortification has to take the losses first. The hex fell, and now that salient's kind of widening up a little bit, which makes life easier. The French have had trouble because the rail lines not being all in place. Once they get I can't tell if that's a World War II line. I think it is. It looks kind of pale there. So this hex has to go. Now, that's the goal, but I don't have the points to take it anymore. And the Germans are probably hearing the supply total that the French threw out and saying, okay, if they were low before, they're not in much better shape. The question is, do the Germans want to make any kind of assault? And that's a tough call, to tell you the truth. Okay. The weakening of the French line to provide for this salient created an opportunity, and you can see the Germans took advantage of it. They slammed into a single unit using a mobile attack. It was a 4-point unit in a trench. They managed to destroy it completely, which meant it didn't have a place to retreat to, so it wasn't able to extend the line. Now, that was this hex, and then that gave them a surrounding aspect for this hex. Not fully surrounded, although I think I have to retreat here instead of there, which causes further problems. Not fully surrounded, but it took away that 2 adjoining hexes exception, which means the front was exposed. They were able to hit, well, the back was exposed as well as the front. They were able to hit from both sides, eliminate the trench effects from this hex, and take this as well. Now we've got this massive breakthrough threatening the entire, recent French assault salient. And here's the problem. The French have no supplies. They spent everything. It would be a problem even without that. The weakening of the line was the real problem. But the fact that the French don't have supplies to launch further attacks to try to, weaken this. These units are pretty strong, but they have no trench bonuses. All they have is whatever terrain they're sitting in. And unless the attack is against this unit with its woods terrain, we're talking about a 1-point modifier, which means they could be forced to retreat. But the French don't have the forces to do it. So they're going to have to spread their line again to cover this territory. This may mean a falling back from the river line even. I'm not sure. And the French manage the best response they can. They throw a light shield around here. It may or may not be enough. On the bright side, they have terrain in terms of the river here. They didn't give up this last hex. They could have pulled back and strengthened their position, but I think they kind of like this location. Eventually, they think their troops are going to be an advantage, but their overall mass is going to be stronger than the Germans. The Germans are actually increasing the size of the frontage in a sense. If they can break through and, create a bulge and nip it off or force the French out of it, that's great. But as long as the French are able to hold on and make this a more and more ragged front, I think in the long run, it's to their advantage. The problem is right now, locally here, they have very weak forces, and they're having trouble extricating stuff from here. I may finish up by pulling some more units out of Paris and trying to drive them up there as a reserve, because I'm having a hard time. These damaged units are trying to make their way back to a headquarters, but the devastated terrain adds 2 to the cost of entering a hex, which means if they're entering a clear hex from the front into a devastated hex, that takes all their movement. They've only got 4 movement points. So the fact that the French are losing ground in an area, or that they have gained ground in an area and have gone beyond the front lines that they were at makes it very difficult to plow through all that crap that they have to get through. The rail lines are in place, but they can't load up on a train in the hex that they're withdrawing from. The British and Germans can do that, but the French can't. So they have to pull out for a turn and then rail someplace for a turn, and they can't rail up to the front. And then, whatever they're planning on doing is the next turn, either recharging at a headquarters. There's plenty of replacement points. I'm actually beginning to build cav units over here because I got nothing else that's completely destroyed I can build. The French definitely have a real problem on their hands right now. They did pull a couple of units through. The problem is the French rail net has gotten so crappy. Losing this area over here, it makes it very difficult. This is the main line path that the rail has, and that's where you start seeing replacements coming from France because they got to pull, or from Paris because they got to pull out of the city itself, which is in zones of control. They're also slowly decreasing this one hex. I may pull some out of there. Those are Brits, though. I can't do much with them except slowly shift more. One unit made it here by taking the shortcut, and there were other shortcuts, so I probably should move those a little bit. The Germans performed another mobile attack of opportunity, kind of right in here. Clear terrain, looked like a good situation. There was only 12 strength points. They needed a 6. They didn't have a lot of strength. It was kind of unlikely it wasn't terribly unlikely, but they got a minimal roll. Actually, it was very likely that they would cause enough damage to force that to withdraw. They got a minimum roll, though, and the French ended up halting them there. But clearly, the Germans can get enough force to push 12 points of French out of clear terrain. There's more French coming up there to fill in the line. The Germans halted their attack at that point. They don't want to push on. Their goal was to slam into this hex and then be able to get this hex, which under enough power that they could really kind of crack it. They're not able to do that, and the French held kind of a very lucky chance that they did. They caused more damage than the Germans did. They caused 7 against the German units. So it wasn't even, an attritionally advantageous thing. The die rolls just came out horrendous against the Germans for such clean terrain. But the French are going to be able to fix that patch. Well, the Germans were still in something of a conundrum needing to attack. They launched against here where they had 4 hexes against it. They gained that hex. There were only 8 strength points there. They managed to wipe it out notionally. A strength point got away still. Basically they're trying to even up their line as much as they can at this point. It became pretty obvious they can't break through the defenses. The French were able to get into this gap once it opened up, or once the Germans slowed down. The French are actually almost out of supply. They have, about 10 points of supply left spread throughout headquarters. They're trying to dig it up from everywhere. The Germans don't know that, though. If they did, they would launch more attacks. The Germans actually are having to launch attacks because they're over in supply. But it's hard to realize what your opponent spent. That's my feeling there. If players carefully kept track of and notated what people spent, they would have known the French are in trouble at this point. But they don't really have that feel, and I'm used to playing these kind of games and not knowing, so I don't want to dig into the knowledge of how weak that is. The Germans still felt they have to attack just because of their situation. Now, here didn't look like it was going to be very potent. They were going to be facing -2 for the woods there, but they ended up choosing just as bad a location, Luxembourg. Now, Luxembourg cleans their line up more significantly. This doesn't have the same effect. This has 2 hexes turning into 1, so it tightens them up a little bit. Here, they'd have to clear both of these hexes to get any real improvement in terms of depth of the line. Again, nibbling on the edges, but here it was a bad attack. There was some 19 strength points of French, and it did not go well. They actually got decent rolls and still only did 9 to 13 losses that they took back. The Germans are kind of wanting to stop their offensives at this point. but if an opportunity presents itself, they'll take it. The thing is, they had a lot of supply, enough that next month they were going to have to launch. Well, they were going to be over the limit next month. I have to recalculate again. I hate counting. This game is all about counting in terms of there's just so much of it. Shit, I forgot to move all these things too. And I have no idea what this guy up here is. I don't know who he is. Oh, he's somebody who got popped out of a stack here. He's full strength. I don't know where he's supposed to be. I'll find a place for him. That popped out of a stack. So, any game with a lot of counters stacked up is going to have a problem where things kind of fall sometimes. But I'm finding the slick, glossy counters on the glossy map on big stacks. That's always a big problem. Got worse once I started clipping things. Plus, I'm having kind of like this little bit of palsy in my hands. Just the last couple of days, I've been having a lot of trouble doing mechanical things with my tweezers or whatever. Everything keeps falling apart. I know that the slick counters are making it worse. And, I'm able to deal with this kind of shakiness when they're, nice matte counters or somewhat thinner ones or whatever. But these guys really cause a problem for me. Well, March winds down into April. No more offensives, just kind of positioning and trying to recuperate. The French are the Allies entirely out of supplies. The Germans don't know this, or they would press it harder, but they're doing what they think is best because their own supplies are kind of wavering. They're down in the 70s now. They got plenty. They could launch an offensive, but it's better to wait for an opportunity. Maybe the French will have to attack again before the Germans do. Let's take a look at the front because it's kind of interesting. It's mutated just a little bit here. You can see the Germans getting a little dig down into here. But then this bulge here that didn't used to be there. And then the rest of it has stayed static. I have this little incursion this far. I'm questioning whether to keep that hex, but it's got decent terrain. It's got some wood terrain. If the French are going to attack, they're probably going to have to go through that. So it's kind of appealing, even though it extends my line. And it makes this possibility of really closing the line by taking those territories. But there are enough German troops right now. I don't know what kind of withdrawals we're looking at, though. So it's kind of frightening. It's like, do I want to pull back to this Hindenburg line? If I do, I shouldn't be saving little bits like that. On the other hand, well, keep things open a little bit more flexibly by holding that territory. So we'll just see where it all ends up after things end. We've got the Australians on the board finally, the real Australians, not those Canadians masquerading as them. The English army is quite large. They don't have a tremendous amount of supply, though. They have a decent amount, somewhere around 32 points, enough to launch an attack. But after this turn, they'll have some more. They may have to do an attack this turn because they've got Canadian replacements coming in that they don't have a counter for. So they're kind of in this situation where they've got to take some losses in order to make any sense. All right. Oh, what about our demoralization points? The Germans are up to 1,500 and something. The French are still, well, they broke 1,000. They're at 1,100. They don't have too much further to go. But we're not seeing those collapses coming anytime soon. Probably not this year. The Germans, God, I don't remember what they are, 2,000, 4,000, something huge. But the French have actually a real limit. Germany's first is at 3,000, and France's first is at 1,500. And those are going to affect how well they can, continue to fight the war. That's one of the coolest factors about this. The casualties, etc., have such an effect on the continuing ability to produce replacements, to produce supply points. I like how that plays out. I'm curious to see what that kind of thinking will reflect in the campaign game, although I probably won't get around to seeing it. All right, up it goes.
All right. So here we go. That's it. We'll do the last little bit there. I'm going to show you the, yeah, I just found out, like I said, I'm just constantly trying to find more reason. I mean, I'm learning about World War I, and it's just this, it just splinters into more resources. It's just crazy. And one of them I did find was called, well, I'll show it to you now, the Imperial War Museums, and they have a database, like I was saying, for the, hold on here, I'll go and share this step instead, and then I've got to up on over here, and then make sure that you can see it fully. There we go. And then I'm just going to make sure that I can, there we go. So I can, yes, that's what I need to do to make sure I can do both. So yeah, this Lives of the First World War database thing. But first of all, we'll take a look at, it's incredible the amount of detail they have. And like I said, I mean, I'll pick my last name, even though none of the people I'm sure that we'll see listed I'm directly related to. It's just nice that I was able to click on to, they have subcategories. So you're able to, do things such as, do you want to just look for privates, or it's just incredible, incredible. So we'll go to the, I'm just going to move the things I can see as much as possible. There we go. It's kind of tricky to do it with one screen and have split whatever's. So anyways, hopefully you can see what, oh darn it, I can't do that either. I'll have to, because then I won't be able to scroll. But anyways, I'm going to go and type in, I'm just going to move this guy over here. I'm going to go onto the thing here. I'm just going to type in my last name, and then we can, I also noticed that if I typed in other people's names that have really, really common, my goodness, it takes a long time. So you can see here, there's 198 people listed with that last name. And look, you can even get I can export it to as a spreadsheet, and just incredible. And you can see here, I can also, here's the, I can filter out that way. So we'll go to just here, up towards the Canadian Expeditionary Force. There were 17 people listed here. And the person that I found interesting was, I just was like, oh, I love her name, Violet Ella Prest. And wait until you see what her last name, what her married name, last name becomes. So you can just click it on. I mean, some people have a lot of information, and some people have very little information. But you can see here that, she was born in 1894. She enlisted in 1918 and was discharged, so you don't know too much more about her from here. However, I said, oh, well, let's find out. I mean, as you can see here, you can go, like I was mentioning, a lot of people have way more, just a huge amount of information that you can get. But let's go to, I just typed in her name, and voila. I can, I was able to find her here, and there she is, for goodness sakes. And that's what I find really cool. So did she go by the name of Violet Golden? That is such a beautiful name. I would be like, oh man, that is just is that the most, some kind of fascinating paint shade, or, it's just incredible. And then you can see her here. She's from Nova Scotia. And this is a picture they said from, well, I can't, some people could do that really good, Musqueam, Nova Scotia, I guess, or Middle Musqueam or something. But anyways, there, I don't know which one she is. Here, I guess, the left one, or maybe here at 1898, so she'd be 10. So I guess the one up here is the one standing on the right-hand side. That's pretty cool. So I'm just, I was thinking, oops, sorry, I went to the wrong, I should have went back to, how do I do that again? Back to Violet. There she is for later on. I was also thinking about Math, Fun, and Games when he mentioned that his wife is from Ireland, and he was trying to track down some information about her father or grandfather or something. So I don't know who she is. Maybe is Is that her? I would assume, since she would be the oldest, and that's all her whatevers. But or is it that? I don't know. I don't know anything. But I just find it absolutely fascinating that you can do this type of stuff. All right, so I'll pop me back to normal land, and hold on here. I'll just do my normal. I'll just there. So Rio, since we're about basically down to about 9:30, those Sikhs look so good in their uniforms with their swords. Yeah, yet again, there's so many websites and so many resources, guys. I want to explore with you guys, or at least just to say, hey, these are available, and off we go. And yet again, with the pacing of doing this week by week, just like the Great War Channel does, I'm thinking that, well, for me, it's certainly going to help. I'm not hopping around from year to year. Now what happened in 1916, 1917, and so on and so forth. So it'll be nice, some coherence. Get to explore it with you guys, and we can all find out about World War I. Obviously, I'm going to do a heavy slant with the Weltkrieg, but World War I gaming in general, like I was saying when we started, when I'm getting prepared here for the Caporetto game, and Charles Latoro was mentioning, like I was saying last week, and what other games have the Italian front or Caporetto? We'll go and find out about that stuff and all the lead in. But I mean, my gosh, there's just an insane amount of information. I mean, this is endless. I mean, my goodness, it's just crazy. So I'm really, really happy. Oh, I forgot to mention as well that I will give you the answer. Just hold on there. That's I did reprint these maps to 80%. These are at 75, so I'll go up to 80. So that should help. And since I was mentioning that I have 12 weeks off coming up soon, starting next Friday, actually, I would like to, and since we're doing it week to week, I can leave the fronts up there, and then we can just shift and see what's going on week to week. So that should be kind of neat, I hope. And then remember, I've got the Africa map over there, and hopefully I'll get the camcorder volume fixed so I can start doing some nice zooming towards the map, not have it so herky-jerky. Yes, Meandering Mike, it is going to be, because I'm telling you right now, even when we were on the Not J live stream thing on Wednesday evening, when they were mentioning about doing a marathon stuff, I was like, you know what? I haven't done a proper long soak in the bath of my game in a while. And I was like, maybe I'll just do a long soak that way. I don't know if I would pop it on live stream. Maybe I'll just pop the camera off the corner and some whatever. But it certainly doesn't mean I'm going to be commenting or whatever. But if people are into that weird stuff, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying weird, but you know what I mean. What else? So that's it. Oh, yeah, the answer, for goodness sakes. It's the Yeet Fire Brigade. Oh, and by the way, I found the bloody card, Flores Andes, last week. Like a typical OCD person, like everybody else here probably, I stuck the card back in the deck immediately after using it. That's why I couldn't find the card last week. Looking around, I was like, like you were saying, when Meandering Mike, when you were mentioning, did you look behind the couch or under the couch cushions? I was like, I did, and no, I didn't have to. But anyways, I do want to show you the card. I'll pop them up quickly. I wanted to at least show you her card, and then I can show you also the Yeet Fire Brigade card. And I can kind of do that, so you can, there. There we go. So that's what the card looks like. And and like I said, I put her wiki thing at the very, very beginning of the things, and then that's the there we go. Yeah, we call them fire departments here too. I've never heard them called fire brigades here as well, Mike, but Meandering Mike. But so there you go, and then we'll have another one. Obviously, we're going to do a trivia thing every week, and all you have to do is even guess, and you get a 1 point. The only person that guessed is Meandering Mike. Everybody else could have guessed one. I mean, you would have got a point for God's sakes. Jeepers jumping. I mean, it's like, you just dip your toe in the pool. Charles Latorre, I'm not sure of that. What I'll try to do is go on some of the forums and check. That's all I can do is I'll check. But I do know, Charles Latorre, that you can download the Sterling Edition rules from the Decision Games site. If you don't want to go to the site and dirty your browser, I will provide you the link through the Consim forum thing or something like that, or whatever, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, exactly. I think the first edition, but why, Charles? Are you? Does he have the first edition tally in front? But I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, maybe the counter numbers have changed. I don't know. I'll check on the Consim, the old Consim forum site. It's just a huge amount of information. And like I was saying I haven't checked in a couple of weeks, but back in November, even Dave Schroeder was posting there and answering questions. And also they were mentioning that they were still working on the alternative scenarios for the Grand Campaign, which I found fascinating because I've constantly, but I've often gone to the site going, oh, darn, where are they? Or I've looked around and I can't find the alternate scenarios where they were talking about, okay, you can start with, these guys are not part of, like just different sides set up, which would be wonderful to see. So I don't know what you guys are up to for the remainder of the day. I know some of you guys are going to be going to the War Room. Is that what it's called? The War Room live stream hosted by ID Jester. I think that's it on Saturday afternoons. I don't know. It's absolutely gorgeous sunshine out here today. So I'm going to, I got to step outside for a little bit and see what happens. But I really, oh yeah. And then I've got tomorrow the Sunday with Spence and Gable Tannenberg thing. Rob's not coming over today. He's going to be hanging out with his kids. But that table, I think it was also partially, I mean, I always wanted to play the game, my imaginative play game with Weltkrieg. But on Wednesday's stream there, the Not Jay's live stream, when I saw Hex to Hex's table set up there, I was like, oh my God, that just looks so good. You just want to go and you just want to move counters around so bad, or at least I did. I was like, ah. So I just keep seeing that. I was like, and I don't know about you guys, but I love the way, thanks, Meandering Mike. I love the way Hex to Hex you can hear it in his voice. When he gets into a game, you can hear it. And I love that. Same as when Cataclysm now, way back when he was doing his 1000th live stream celebratory thing. And you could hear him getting into, some of the, you could like, yeah, this guy really, he really loves the game and really loves history. You can hear it. I mean, you can't hide that stuff. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, if I see you later, I do. If I don't, obviously I'll see another part, like maybe on a Sunday or whatever. I don't know if I'm just going to unplug for the day and just, it's kind of weird. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I do. It's interesting. I've heard some people sometimes say, oh, yeah, it's amazing that you can spend so much time on one game. But then on the flip side, I'm amazed that other people can, do multiple games and eat whatever. To me, it's fascinating. I can't do that very well, is what I'm saying. So, but yet again, to get into this, it's going to take like a certain headspace. So it'll take me a while to kind of like get in the groove or whatever. So just let it happen. But yeah, I got to kind of rejig the story, get back into the narrative. So, goody, Charles Latorre. Good, I'm glad to hear it. And hopefully your granddaughter's not going to fiddle with the counters, which I loved. You're hilarious, man. I was listening to when I was watching your video, and you were saying, what did you say about your granddaughter? It was something about whether she did it on purpose or not. I was like, you can still hear it in the back of your mind, like you were still a bit ticked. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. As if you're going to be like truly ticked over your granddaughter. But I just thought that was awesome. Anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday. I'll yet again start preparing for next week's live stream. I really think, though, I may cut, as in 1 week, I'll do a website, explore a website of one that I found, such as the Imperial War Museum. We just went very quickly, but I think I will provide the link for sure in there, or I think I did. I'll check. And then the second week, I'll make sure that we do Der Weltkrieg map stuff, because what's happening right now is I keep missing. I keep saying if time permitting, and it doesn't happen, which that's kind of pointless. So anyways, I hope you guys had a good time. I had a blast. Like I've said before, these World War One-ish gaming live streams on Saturdays, I'm finding are starting to find its structure or its legs. I mean, it's only number 15. So thanks a lot, everyone. And I hope you have a great time. And I'll see you in a bit. Bye, guys.